Can I talk to you about something I've struggled with for a while? It is the idea of being called a coach. And to be perfectly honest, scoot this out of the way. I don't know that I am a coach. It comes from this idea of once you start labeling something, you stop seeing it. Once you start labeling something, you stop understanding it. And I've been rereading The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. And here's a series of events. I got into coaching, kicking and screaming. I felt called to it. Um, I fucking love it. I absolutely love it. Uh, but the label of coach is it has elements of ickiness to it. And now it's much like a whole bunch of what 5, 6 years ago, everyone was creating grand slam offers, and then a bunch of ill-equipped people started doing that, and then um, then it's like personal brand and founder-led content, and so now everyone's a personal branding expert, and then overnight everyone was an AI expert, and now everyone's running a community and coaching. And I have that's why I say kicking and screaming, because the standard is really hit or miss, to the point where even I was taking instruction either directly or indirectly from people in the space and realizing like, oh shit, like I'm taking instruction from someone who could be incredibly talented but doesn't actually care about the responsibility of this. They care more about the outcome of it. And that is zero shade on the person as a human being. I don't even think they're consciously doing it. If you are, then fuck you. um, I think it is just people see an opportunity and they take it, and they don't necessarily understand the implications of what they're responsible for, and the impact that they can have positively or negatively. And so I've just that's probably too much information to say. I've always just been kind of graded against the term coach for me, not for other people. The term coach itself, there are so many phenomenal coaches out there. It just didn't feel like a fit. And so you think mentor, you think consultant, you think all these sorts of things. And I'm just like, why did none of these fit? And so short answer is I still don't know. I I, I still don't know. And I am going to get vulnerable and work with you on that. But I want to kind of say, from getting into it, kicking and screaming because of the label, not because of the work. Fucking love the work. It is exactly what I'm meant to do. I've really struggled with it. And probably a few months ago, I had read this almost a year ago, and then I'm back to reading it and going slow with it. And on page 100, I wrote the note, why I struggle with the coaching label. And these are Rick's words. He says, as soon as you use a label to describe what you're working on, there's a temptation to conform to its rules. The templates of the past can be an inspiration in the beginning phases, but it's helpful to think beyond what's been done before. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. And I think I've taken on the label of coach as a mechanism of fear, of saying like, well, if I don't advertise myself and market myself properly, then I won't be understandable to the market, in which case then I can't get clients and all this kind of stuff. Um, that I think that's where it originated. And I think a lot of people go through this, right? I want this to be useful for you too, not just a freaking monologue for my own sake. But I'm finding this across everything, right? Lao Tzu said, once you start labeling something, you stop seeing it. I think it was Lao Tzu. I heard it through Alan Watts, so I'm trying to recall. Which, if you don't spend time with Alan Watts, please do. um, it's really resonated with me. And I underlined something else in the following page. It's like rules obeyed unconsciously are far stronger than the ones set on purpose, and they are more likely to undermine the work. And that is how I felt about the label. Because if suscepting yourself to a label makes it very natural for you to conform to the rules of that label, and then the rules become unconsciously obeyed, it did feel like it was undermining the work, right? To the point where, and I want to be incredibly clear, I have done my best for every client. I can't look back on any experience I've had with a client and, given the knowledge I had at that time, the information I had at that time, say I didn't do my best in that moment. I was just not that great at a lot of stuff in the beginning. I'm sure I made some people angry. I'm sure, I always tried to be upfront and transparent about that and say, I used to tell, when I had a community in 2025, I used to tell them in every group coaching, I was like, I am building this plane as it takes off from the runway, right? I have plenty of business acumen. I have no clue how to run a coaching business. I am learning as I go. Are you guys okay with that? And they were, and they respected that honesty and that kind of stuff. But like, even that is an example of a common feature in community is like the group coaching session, the office hours, the weekly whatever. And I did that. And the times were good and people got value and it was fun. But that was a rule I was conforming to that never felt right, to the point where on one of them, I actually kind of had like a low grade panic attack. Like I was like, holy shit, I feel like my body's fighting against me all of a sudden. And I took a deep breath and I told everybody, I feel like I'm struggling like in this exact moment for a sec. And then I got out of it and it was great. And again, everybody respected that. Right. And I think there's oversharing, and then there's just being completely withholding because you don't want to look like a human being. And I think I was somewhere in the middle. But I conformed to a lot of rules. Like I created modules, right? Put my whole heart and soul into them. Still didn't feel right. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it well. So I guess what I'm going with this is I still have a natural resistance to the label. I met somebody for coffee, having recently moved back to Iowa, not where I grew up, but where I went to college. And at the end of a coffee chat, which is pretty natural, someone will say, well, what do you need? You're new here. What do you need? Who can I introduce you to? Blah, blah, blah. And I told him, I said, you know what? I think that's the beauty about where I'm at mentally, is I don't think I need anything. Not that I'm turning you down, not that I won't jump at every opportunity to meet more people and hear their stories and ask questions and be curious, but that I don't need it. Right? And I think this is kind of turning into a personal monologue, but I think that's what's troubled me about the label, is that I don't need to label a coffee chat as networking or prospecting. It's coffee, right? It's a conversation. I could even, reduce the label down to just, it's space I'm occupying. It's an experience. And that's why they're so fucking amazing, is that I don't need it to be something. I don't need to name it. I can just experience it. I can just have it. And it makes me think of my curiosity when, I don't go on social media a ton as a consumer. I just kind of produce and get off there. It's only when I'm just completely bored out of my mind and being lazy, which if you scroll a lot, whatever, know why you do it. That's fine. It is a trigger for me to be like, why are you scrolling? Life's pretty fucking interesting. What are you doing? That's for me. Right. But I have this fascination where I will look at people's, say, Instagram bio or something. And I always think it's interesting when you see someone be like, foodie, traveler, blah, 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 blah. They'll have like 6 or 7 labels. Nothing wrong with that. It's just what's the fascinating bit to me is they are and this is what I'm resistant to, is they're putting themselves into this box. Now, if that is willing, that's amazing, right? Like they get to choose their identity and all that sort of stuff. What I'm saying is I struggled choosing the coach identity. I've struggled choosing the any one thing identity. I Am I a coach? Am I an artist? Am I a mentor? Am I a, business owner? Am I both? It's like, these are just facets. They're not me. They're not only it. And again, I think when you start labeling something, you stop understanding it. I got to be honest. I pressed record on this, not having any fucking clue what I was going to say outside of that. But it's really important for me, I think, to carry on with this in this moment right now, because I just don't think I just don't think you're hearing this. I didn't hear it until I started personally pursuing deeper thinking and challenging my biases and stepping outside of what makes sense to me and just being a part of something, and not, even after it's over, not having to label it and say, well, that was useful or it wasn't useful. And so I guess there's 2 purposes. One is I want to personally document where I'm at mentally. So in many ways, this is a diary entry, and I am not suffering. Arguably, my life has never been better. I am loving every second of every day. Well, I don't want to be entirely. There are a couple moments, because I have basically 3 toddlers in the house, where it's like really loud, and I'm a quiet person, but I love them and I know it's worth it, and it's just a season. But yeah, pretty much couldn't be happier. And so the first purpose is just to say you can be incredibly, I don't know if content's the word, but hold conviction in that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. And my intuition is telling me, record this video and document that. And I think the other purpose would be, now that we have this recognition of, once you label something, you stop seeing it, hearing it, tasting it, feeling it, understanding it, is where are those little frictions and resistances, and kind of like maybe as far as an annoyance or a resentment in your life. And if you went backwards from those feelings, could you find a label somewhere that, under scrutiny, you're like, actually, I don't like this. I don't understand why I call myself an X and a Y. I don't understand why I feel the need to dress this way, behave this way, withhold around friends or clients or whatever this way. Like, I'm not saying the label is the culprit. I'm saying for me, it's been really clear. It's a contributing factor to kind of what prevents me from doing a fully convicted, natural thing. Is, whether you're consciously or subconsciously asking, for me, it was like, how could I become a great coach? I don't care. It's not as how do I become a great the label. It has I have zero fucking interest, and I was distracted with it for a while because you want to be the best at what you do, but you understand something, and that's where Ruben really said it in his own way. And I'm thinking of an Emerson quote right now that said, "Greatness, to be great is to be misunderstood." And this little diary entry of mine around the coaching label, I think, is my willingness to now embrace that. I know what I do. I don't I don't believe that the label can hold it all. And I think you probably have plenty of little tiny labels in your life that just feel limiting and misaligned and not fully truthful. And so pretty much my only rule in life is never look back on any decision you make and say, where was your courage? And so fundamentally, in the truest possible execution of that rule is, I've thought about this for a long time, and if I would have kept it to myself and not pressed record, that would have been a fearful act or lack of an act. And so this video is driven by courage, by if you're sticking around with this and watching this, like I used to tell my employees, and when I was in the marketing agency world for a decade, I used to say, I can't say one thing and mean another. I don't know how to do it. And so this is my effort, regardless of what this turns into, regardless of if anybody watches this, regardless, none of that stuff is the purpose of this. The purpose of it is that you feel this, you felt it for a long time, and you need to get it out. And so with publishing this video, I don't have to look back on today, so July 17, and ask, where was your courage? So thanks for watching. Hopefully it made sense, even though I still have a lot more to discover for myself. I hope you got use out of it, that if something feels off in terms of, oh, I need to label myself this way, or I already have, then just take this as understanding you've got one other person who's wondering why it feels that way, and committed to learning more about it.